Clovis nodded. Right. I was thinking you should probably see what happened at the Council of War. I slept through some of it, but... Show me, Nico said. The scene changed. Nico found himself in the rec room of the big house. All the senior camp leaders gathered around the ping-pong table. At one end sat Chiron the centaur. His equine posterior collapsed into his magic wheelchair, so he looked like a regular human. His curly brown hair and beard had more gray streaks in it than a few months ago. Deep lines etched his face. Things we can't control, he was saying. Now let's review our defenses. Where do we stand? Clarice from the Ares cabin sat forward. She was the only one in full armor, which was typical. Clarice probably slept in her combat gear. As she spoke, she gestured with her dagger, which made the other counselors lean away from her. Our defensive line is mostly solid, she said. The campers are as ready to fight as they'll ever be. We control the beach. Our treemies are unchallenged on Long Island Sound, but those stupid giant eagles dominate our airspace. Inland, in all 3 directions, the barbarians have us completely cut off. They're Romans, said Rachel Dare, dueling with a marker on her knee of her jeans. Not barbarians. Clarice pointed her dagger at Rachel. What about their allies, huh? Did you see that tribe of 2-headed men that arrived yesterday? Or the glowing red dog-headed guys with the big poleaxes? They look pretty barbaric to me. It would have been nice if you'd foreseen any of that, or if your oracle power didn't break down when we needed it most. Rachel's face turned as red as her hair. That's hardly my fault. Something's wrong with Apollo's gift of prophecy. If I knew how to fix it. She's right. Will Solace, the head counselor for the Apollo cabin, put his hand gently on Clarice's wrist. Not many campers could have done that without getting stabbed, but Will had a way of diffusing people's anger. He got her to lower her dagger. Everyone in our cabin's been affected. It's not just Rachel. Will's shaggy blonde hair and pale blue eyes reminded Nico of Jason Grace, but the similarities ended there. Jason was a fighter. You could tell from the intensity of his stare, his constant alertness, the coiled-up energy in his frame. Will Solace was more like a lanky cat stretched out in the sunshine. His movements were relaxed and non-threatening. His gaze was soft and far away. In his faded Surf Barbados t-shirt, his cut-off shorts and flip-flops, he looked about as unaggressive as a demigod could get. But Nico knew he was brave under fire. During the Battle of Manhattan, Nico had seen him in action, the camp's best combat medic, risking his life to save wounded campers. We don't know what's going on at Delphi, Will continued. My dad hasn't answered my prayers or appeared in any of my dreams. I mean, all the gods have been silent, but this isn't like Apollo. Something's wrong. Across the table, Jason Mason grunted. And probably this Roman dirtwipe who's leading the attack. Octavian, what's his name? If I was Apollo and all my descendants was acting that way, I'd go hiding out of shame. I agree, Will said. I wish I was a better archer. I wouldn't mind shooting my Roman relative off his high horse. Actually, I could use any of my father's gifts to stop this war. He looked down at his own hands with distaste. Unfortunately, I'm just a healer. Your talents are essential, Chiron said. I fear we'll need them soon enough. As for seeing the future, what about the harpy Ella? Has she offered any advice from the Sibylline books? Rachel shook her head. The poor thing's scared out of her wits. Harpies hate being imprisoned. Ever since the Romans surrounded us, well, she feels trapped. She knows Octavian means to capture her. That's all Tyson and I can do to keep her from flying away. Which would be suicide. Butch Walker, son of Iris, crossed his burly arms. With those Roman eagles in the air, flying isn't safe. I have already lost 2 Pegasi. At least Tyson brought some of his Cyclops friends to help out, Rachel said. That's a little good news. Over by the refreshment table, Connor Stoll laughed. He had a fistful of Ritz crackers in one hand and a can of Easy Cheese in the other. A dozen full-grown Cyclopses? That's a lot of good news. Plus, Lou Ellen and the Hecate kids have been putting up magical barriers, and the whole Hermes cabin has been lining the hills with traps and snares and all kinds of nice surprises for the Romans.